Hello, Northtown. This is your host, Dan Michael Cogan. Hello, Northtown highlights the people and places that make North Kansas City great. In this first episode, I sit down to chat with mayoral candidate Jesse Smith at District Biscuits. Check it out.
That looks good. That's serious.
Yeah,
it's
man.
been too long since I've been in here. I've been like trying to eat healthier, and like this kind of doesn't dovetail into like my campaign promises of like making North Kansas City a healthier place, but every now and then you got to live.
How healthy are we talking? Like RFK healthy?
Yes, please.
Let's go. Beef tallow.
One of the things I've talked about doing is convening like a North Kansas City Health Committee. I don't know, like it's a working title.
Yeah.
But getting people from the hospital, the YMCA, like personal trainers, dietitians, folks who know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And advising residents on like healthy, small incremental changes they can make. And then working with restaurants to either develop or spotlight their healthier menu items so that you can go in with a group to District Biscuits or Chicken and Pickle or wherever and pick something that's been
cool.
vetted.
I like that.
We'll see.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things about the idea of eating healthy and just healthy living is that it doesn't mean that you can't eat things that you like, right? Like you can come in and eat something delicious and really bad for you at any restaurant, as long as that's not the only thing you're eating, right? Treat yourself.
Right. Treat yourself. Attaboy.
All right, man. So we're sitting here at District Biscuits in North Kansas City. We'll talk a little bit about District Biscuits at the end of our conversation, but start out by telling me your history with North Kansas City. How'd you end up here?
North Kansas City is not a place I expected to live. I grew up in South Georgia, just outside of Savannah, lived in the Southeast my whole life. And then I met my wife. She owned a home in North Kansas City. When I came to visit, I was taken by kind of how cool this place is. Now, they put us in the right time frame. It was like 2012, so it was still an up-and-coming spot. Pretty industrial. We hit up Cinder Block Brewery. Was just about to get started.
Yeah,
so we
man.
got an early look at that.
That's cool.
Big Rip had just come on. There was Chapels and Kelso's was the spot on the corner. And so it was early. But it was a vibe. Like we liked it.
For sure.
And so eventually we did the pros and cons list. We got engaged and I decided to move here. So for my wife. But I still couldn't get accustomed to the Midwest weather, which today is the perfect day to bring that up.
Yep.
We're going to see a 40-degree drop from almost 70 to around 30 degrees.
Yeah, man.
And possibly snow showers, which is wild. So I had a plan to convince her to move back to the Southeast once the weather hit me. But there's just something about North Kansas City that it grows on you, and I'm all in here now. We love it. We're going to raise our girls here.
Yeah.
And so many new and interesting things like District Biscuits and Chicken and Pickle. We got just awesome stuff.
Oh, 100%, man. So you moved to North Kansas City around 2012, and you pretty quickly, within a few years, jumped in and started serving in government.
We'll have to do some dead space cuts.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, so when I moved to Northtown, I was working in a federal job that had me on the road 200 plus nights a year. And I did that for the first few years I lived here. So I officially moved in 2013. I left that job in 2018 and made a point to, now that I'm here, more often to dive in deep. I started hosting kind of a local meetup. We'd grab a bottle of bourbon and a bunch of guys sit around a fire pit and just talk about life, talk about our families, our hopes, dreams, ambitions, all kinds of other nonsense.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about, hey, what is this little city we live in? Like, what is great about it? What would be better? Got to meet some members of the governing body at the time through that.
That's great.
And so I, saw that it could be like any normal guy or girl can just jump on the governing body if they get elected. It's like, all right, I'm going to be here a long time. I'd love a seat at the table. Let's get involved. And I ran a campaign, I would say very poorly the first time I did it, but managed to win the seat. Unfortunately, it was an open seat. I wasn't against an incumbent. And got to know a lot of my neighbors doing that.
Yeah.
I've been on 6 years now, almost. It'll be 6 years this coming month.
Nice.
And it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, man. And take a bite and I'll talk for a minute.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So for most of the people, I think that will be likely to tune in and listen to a show like this, they know North Kansas City. They know kind of some of the unique things about North Kansas City that make it special. They know the spots. They know some of the people. But hopefully, this can also have the added benefit of putting Northtown on more people's radar. Not necessarily because we just want a massive influx. Like, gosh, the population's probably doubled in the last, well, since you've been here at least.
Close to it.
Yeah. And so it's not like we're, I don't have a Superman complex where I think I'm going to.
You're going to double it again.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things I really like about Northtown is the small town feel. But it's really unique in that, like, you step out on the front porch of the restaurant we're sitting in right now, you can see the skyline of Kansas City.
Right.
We really feel like we're part of the city. What is do you remember the city's tagline? It's like...
Yeah, so it's virtually urban, supremely suburban, which is a painfully difficult thing to say. It's not incorrect. We could probably use a rebrand, and that's something that I'm going to push for, hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's not wrong. Like, we're like on the doorstep of downtown Kansas City.
And you got access to all of the amenities of a big city, but you don't feel like you're just lost in the shuffle.
Correct.
So Amy and I grew up in another suburb, didn't grow up in, but we spent a number of years as relatively newlyweds in another suburb of Kansas City that we really loved. And, it was walkable and people knew each other. And when we moved north of the river, we were looking for that. And I was aware of North Kansas City, but really hadn't spent any time here. And so as we started to see that, we were like, man, this is everything we loved about that other suburb. Yep. But it's got the added benefit of kind of the like cool factor of being basically downtown.
Yeah.
Or our own thing.
It's pretty unique. And it's kind of I say we're a city that suffers from a bit of an identity crisis because we're cardinal direction north plus the name of the major city that we're adjacent to. So North Kansas City.
Yeah.
And so if you're not from here, you don't really understand that we are our own municipality, 4.5 square miles of, pure heaven.
Yeah, man.
And it's tricky. So I would love to see a bit of a rebrand, a little refresh on that. So I don't have to say like, oh yeah, that area down by Chicken and Pickle. Yeah. That's North Kansas City. Because people think the whole Northland could be North Kansas City.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like we're really unique. We're almost like the Vatican City of Kansas City. We're fully surrounded by Kansas City, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And we're 8 minutes if you catch traffic lights the right way from the dead center of downtown. Like you can be at Sprint Center. We're never calling it something else. Whatever the heck.
100%.
But you can be at Sprint Center for a game or a concert in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's wild that we're that close. You can also jump on 70, 35, 169. You can be anywhere you want to go in the metro quickly.
Yeah.
But this little 4.5 square miles of Northtown is really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's infinitely walkable. It's an old river bottom. So from the river to the base of the bluffs is 5 feet of elevation change. Yeah. So if you want to ride a bike, you don't have to deal with hills. You want to walk around, you can just do that very easily, as you mentioned. Yeah. And it does kind of dovetail into that small town feel where people are out walking, you meet your neighbors. Yep. It's an old streetcar suburb, so it was built as the railways were coming through, kind of built out organically on the old grid system. So you're not locked away in a cul-de-sac. You are kind of, for better or worse, shoved right into your neighbor's side yard. Mm-hmm. Many of the old bungalows have front porches. So on a nice day, you're out walking. Half the people are sitting on their porch on a swing or a rocker. You wave, you meet your neighbors. Yeah. That's some of the stuff. Like I kind of get goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah, man.
It's such a unique spot.
It really is.
That you don't get a lot of anymore. Especially not in a new build community unless it's specifically planned.
Yeah. Well, what's the neighborhood right down by Mackin Park? It's
Northgate Village.
Yeah, hot Midwest neighborhood. Yep. It's a beautiful new construction, relatively, right? Like what's 15? Yeah. So it's not brand new, but it's newer in contrast with most of the residential downtown North Kansas City that was built during the industrial period, right?
Yeah, the older neighborhood, we call it the avenues, the 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th avenues, were built in between the turn of the century, like the teens, all the way through like the 50s.
Yeah.
Most of the homes being built somewhere around the 30s and 40s. I own a handful of those, and they're a whole bunch of fun to renovate. But the newer neighborhood, that's where I live, Northgate Village. It feels like you walked onto the set of the Truman Show almost, because it's so planned.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it was a city master planned development where there was some apartments that were struggling there. They'd gotten a lot of crime around them. So the city bought that up and put in a plan to completely refresh that area. And what it resulted in is like 4 streets of these well-planned homes with front porches. Everybody lives within, like, you can touch houses side to side. And so it fosters that same kind of sense of community.
Yeah.
Where when you are densely packed into this area, even in single-family homes, you can still feel that sense of community.
And then more recently, a lot of new apartment buildings are going up. The Oxbow,
23rd and Swift. Over in the One North development on the other side of 35. And that's partially market dynamics. Right now, density is reigning. People want to be in these spots like North Kansas City, and a lot of the developers, because of the cost per square foot of ground, are saying, if we're going to buy the ground, we're going to build up. And so even when we go out for proposals as a city, we've got this spot of ground, we want it developed into housing. Most of what comes in, if not all that comes in, is apartments. And those are polarizing.
Sure.
But it brings in new people to town, a lot of new people that support businesses, spend their money here. And I think it's been a real net positive.
That's cool, man. I love to hear that. So tell me, we've heard a little bit about your history, how you ended up in North Kansas City. What's kind of your current involvement in the community? And I happen to know, and I think most people listening to this episode are going to know because we're a small community. But tell us what's going on in your world right now.
So in my world right now, like as I mentioned earlier, I've been on the city council for 6 years. I've gotten to live in the goods and the bads of all the things municipal government, and so I have thrown my name in the hat for mayor.
Awesome.
We have an election coming up in just under 3 weeks, so this conversation could be very different in 3 weeks if I am not elected. I would be unceremoniously back out as a general population of North Kansas City, and I'll find a new way to be useful.
For sure.
But if I am so lucky to be elected, I look forward to 4 years of continuing the positive progress of the city. Working with the development group that bought up a little over 100 acres of our core of our city. A lot of new and exciting possibilities there. A lot of unknowns that can cause our residents some concern. But definitely looking to keep that small town feel while also leaning into the new and exciting things that come with full redevelopment of a part of the city. But my name's on the ballot, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. That's exciting. I, just as folks listen to the show, hopefully, and get to know me as their host, you'll get to know some of my connection with the community as well. So I actually, my family and I live a little bit further north. I tell people that I live in the part of Kansas City where you have to drive south to get to North Kansas City. And then if you keep driving south, you're back in Kansas City again. But the rest of our lives, other than where we sleep at night, the rest of our lives are right here in Northtown. I'm a pastor here in the community. I'm a chaplain with the police department. Starting this podcast, this is really, even though I'm a pastor and even though you're a politician, this isn't going to be religious or political. Right?
Yes.
And I'm okay with those conversations, but that's just not the intention of the show. The intention is really just to, as we said at the top, to feature the people and places that make Northtown great. And so I don't have a vote in the upcoming election, but because of my connections in the community, and because I want to be the kind of guy that gives an equal hearing to everyone involved, I've reached out to the incumbent, Mayor DeLong. Hoping that he gets back and says, yeah, I'm interested. But since we have zero listenership right now, he might not find it worthwhile.
Hey, it's always worthwhile when somebody's trying to do good stuff in Northtown.
100%.
The dynamic you mentioned, so like where you live just north of North Kansas City, in Kansas City, it's amazing to try to explain, even to my parents, like where exactly I live. So they finally have realized that I live in Missouri. Like that's been a tough one.
That's universal.
Over a decade, they're like, they finally get it. I don't live in Kansas, and then
although it is very close.
It is very close, but then I like blow their mind even further. They're like, I live in the city of North Kansas City, and so when we come to visit, we'll drive north into Kansas City. My dad's head nearly explodes.
Right.
So it's a tough one to pin down.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if 50 years in the future we annexed everything north of us. Yeah.
Bite your tongue on that.
Right.
Annexation is a tough one.
Yeah. That's just a pipe dream of a guy who has no idea how government works.
Right.
But so obviously somebody who is putting their name on the ballot, running for mayor, has some vision for opportunities for Northtown. So what would you say are some of the biggest opportunities for Northtown right now?
So given our location, I would love to see us do more with our surrounding cities, and make more inroads with other leaders in communities. We got Liberty, Parkville, Riverside, Kansas City, Missouri, Gladstone. They're all like right here. And working together with them, we've got some projects. We've got a trail network that we're starting to try to build out that will connect the cities a little more cohesively with bike and pedestrian infrastructure.
That's cool.
We got just a ton of stuff that's going on. I mentioned the development earlier. Like that, all that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And having sensible leadership that can work with incremental development, not just all at once, not just overwhelming the city. That's going to be one of our biggest opportunities. But one of mine, and again, not to like make this a political grandstanding, stumping sort of podcast episode, but like my big promise is communication.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love doing stuff like this. I love talking about North Kansas City. I love talking with the people of North Kansas City. And I, for better or worse, throw my voice into most conversations.
Yeah.
I try to keep people abreast of the facts.
Yeah.
So not allowing the rumor mill to spin too hard, which you can certainly do in a small town.
For sure.
So kind of bringing facts to the conversation, but also getting feedback from the residents. And I think that's something that's been missing during my time on government is the two-way communication.
Yeah.
So I hold town halls. I try to get as many open forums going as I can where people can always come to a city council meeting and speak on the mic. But that's intimidating, right? You get 3 minutes. You better be succinct.
Yeah.
We have to just stare at you. We can't really respond.
Yeah.
And so I want to give more casual opportunity. I'll set up at Center Block and we'll have a beer and we'll talk about whatever's on people's minds. I love that. And I've done that a number of times, and it's always a good conversation, and people seem to crave that. So like that's one of my big promises is increasing the communication. And then one kind of like fun fringe thing I'm looking at doing is since COVID, the sense of community has been a little more strained. People got comfortable in their houses. They didn't get out as often. And people start feeling that. And so I want to give opportunities for community building. We already have a block party grant. So the city will give you $400 and close off both into your block to grab your neighbors and have a party.
That's so unique. Are there other municipalities you know of that
Not that I know of. I know that there's probably some programs, but since we're so small and like we can just do that. And then usually if you apply, it comes through as an administrative approval. Council doesn't even have to see those anymore unless they touch certain parts of downtown. And so it's like, it's such an opportunity, and it doesn't get taken advantage of nearly enough. So like, if you're listening, have a block party. It's on us, right? At $400.
Man, that's so cool.
So I want to take that and make it a little grander. So give an opportunity, and this is a really half-baked idea at this point, but if I get into the big seat, I'll be able to talk with more restaurant owners, do a little more planning internally, but have an opportunity to like have a meal together at least once a quarter. Whether that's at Mackin Park on a nice day, or we identify a warehouse space or Parks building, and allow people to just break bread together, get out from behind their screens, off of social media where they're just arguing. It's really easy to argue with a little tiny picture on a social media profile. Harder to when you're sitting across sharing a plate of spaghetti.
That's right.
Like, so I want to get that back, and I feel like that's been sorely missing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I think recently my brother-in-law, who's a phenomenal artist here in the Kansas City area, frontman for a band called Elevator Division. So little plug, shameless plug for them. Check them out. They're really good. And he shared a song that he wrote and recorded. Man, I want to say it was around that same time period, 2012. And he was just seeing that kind of contrast in culture of like the way that we would treat people behind the keyboard, that we would never treat each other in person. And I'll put the link to that song in the show notes. But man, I love to hear that, because as a small town, as a truly a community, which I'm an etymology guy. I love thinking about like where words come from. A community means we have common unity. And even though there is a broad diversity of worldviews and perspectives, man, like what a wonderful place we could make this town if we would spend time just talking and hearing each other's perspectives.
Yeah.
And that's what I have valued getting to know you, Jesse. And that's the tagline of your campaign is leadership that listens.
Thanks to Dan for that one.
I may or may not have come up with that.
Great alliteration tickles my senses in a very profound way.
I'm a Baptist preacher, so I alliterate things.
You got to alliterate. I got my 4 points. And then we'll wrap this up sometime afternoon.
Yeah, so we can get to Perkins. Yeah, Perkins. There is no Perkins in town. There's a Denny's.
There's a Denny's. There's a First Watch. There's an IHOP.
Yeah, we're at First Watch pretty regularly.
There's a McLean's. Check them out.
McLean's is
great. There's a District Biscuits.
Yep, obviously.
The number one spot for biscuits in town.
Yes, sir. So tell me about District Biscuit.
Yeah.
So one, I don't know if you know how long ago District Biscuits opened. So tell me a little bit what you know about the restaurant, and then what are you eating? And I'll share what I already scarfed down while I made you talk.
Oh man, I'm not sure how long. I think it's been a little over a year since they opened. So this building, we're sitting right on Armour Road, main thoroughfare of North Kansas City. This was a Subway building. So Subway was here. They were here for a long time. They kind of let the building go a little bit, and it wasn't their most popular. They've got a close by location. They closed. And then a little bakery opened up, and through just a series of random mishaps, they just kept having problems.
Yeah.
And everyone was really excited. They had a counter up here, and you could get your baked goods, and seemed like well supported. And then they closed.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, is that building cursed? Like, what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
And then I started hearing whispers of this concept that it existed near the stadiums prior to COVID.
Oh, really?
And so they had a location. I don't know if it was still called District Biscuits. I think it might have been. And Rue, the owner of District Biscuits, found this spot.
Yeah.
Through an investor group. They opened the space, and they their tagline is crafted for the culture. It's a very proudly Black-owned business.
Yep.
And Rue is a classically trained chef. The guy can cook you anything.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, here's that plug. You can hire him to cater. So come to District Biscuits and talk to him. He caters high-end stuff. And he is a really, really excellent chef.
Yeah.
But he has a special recipe for biscuits. It's been handed down in his family.
Crazy, man.
He's also of the family of the Luffy's Fried Fish. That's his uncle.
Nice. So I didn't know that was a connection.
He grew up working in that restaurant. I wish he was here to tell the story.
Yeah.
He's usually in here, so if you come into District Biscuits, you'll see Rue. Hard to miss him. But he's really channeled his energy and all of his cooking prowess into these biscuits.
That's so cool.
Unbelievable.
They are.
I'll bring my daughters in, and they'll just crush each of them.
Oh, yeah.
My daughters are 3 and 5, and they will eat a full-size biscuit each.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But I've gravitated toward 2 different menu items.
Yep.
If it's breakfast time, I'm eating the Cure.
Nice.
That's a giant fluffy biscuit. It's got egg, bacon, I think it's got some sort of special jam on it. It's been a little while since I've been in because I've been.
Okay, so I hear the name The Cure.
The Cure.
Well, one, I think of the band, right?
Yep.
Which I don't know that Rue would necessarily be into 80s.
Probably not.
Like post
named after the band.
Yeah, but maybe more like Cure for a Hangover.
Yeah, that was where I thought. And I know some of the different. They're all named for something Kansas City related. The Cure might just be a hangover cure, and I'm sure it would be. It would stop.
There may be another Kansas City connection.
Could be.
We'll have to dig into that and find out.
Yeah. And then today at lunch, I'm eating the Wonder. If you're in on Wednesday, they got that special. It's $8 Wonder Wednesday, but it is a juicy chicken breast fried, and then egg on top, bacon as well, same fluffy biscuit. I always add honey or hot honey to it.
Yeah, man.
You can even ask for their Howland sauce or Howland seasoning to go on it.
Howland?
Howland.
Like Howland. Okay, I thought it was like a Hollandaise or something.
No,
Howland.
They have a second concept.
Yeah.
It opens at night called Howland Fowls.
Yeah, I saw their sign for that.
Yeah, hot chicken. And it's, again, Rue's unique take on hot chicken. So like the Nashville.
That's so cool.
Instead of like Nashville, where it's just hot for no good reason, this is hot with flavor.
Yeah, man.
And I really like.
Big difference.
Correct. It's the fried chicken is perfect. You add the sauce or the rub, and it's just otherworldly.
Yeah.
So I try not to eat here too often because it is pretty filling, pretty heavy. But when you come in, it certainly hits.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I ordered, I think for the first time, the Crown, and it's 2 smash burgers. It's got their DB sauce, District Biscuits sauce. It's got pickles and fried onions, and it's killer, man. And I actually subbed out the hash browns that comes with it for their coleslaw. And if you're a coleslaw person, you know there's like creamy and vinegary based coleslaws. Theirs is really creamy. It was fantastic, man. It was one of the better coleslaws that I've had.
Yeah.
But the reason I subbed those out is because my wife will tell you that whenever anything in my life feels like it's a little bit chaotic, the one area that I take control of is my eating.
Yeah.
And so I'm not disciplined about keto, but I am currently eating keto. And it was really a joy to be able to eat that delicious food and just, unfortunately, pull the biscuit off.
Biscuit, yeah.
So if you want my biscuit, it's still sitting here.
I might be into that.
But to eat a really delicious meal and that fit within that way of eating. So, yeah, highly recommend District Biscuits. A couple years ago, I guess right after they opened, a couple Christmases ago, so it's like a year and a half now.
Yeah, a year and a half, probably.
We gave gift cards to all of the volunteers at our organization just to thank them for their work here in Northtown. And but yeah, man, we're all about Northtown. There's obviously lots of places you could go to eat in the metro, and we're not saying not to ever do that, but like come support businesses in Northtown because they are phenomenal. And today we're giving a special nod to District Biscuits.
Yeah, come out and see District Biscuits. Get one of the juices. Get a milkshake.
Yeah, their shakes.
You're not going to leave here hungry, that's
right?
For sure. And
if you do, you've done something terribly wrong.
Yeah, and if you see Rue behind the counter in the back, tell him Dan and Jesse sent you.
There you go. All right. Well, goodbye, Northtown. We'll see you next time.